When it comes to sleep, parents have usually tried everything and are doing everything right. Earlier bedtimes, blackout curtains, melatonin, white noise machines, and yet their child is still awake for 2, sometimes maybe even 3 hours when they clearly, desperately need to get to sleep. So, if that's your life right now, here's something important to understand: you're not failing at bedtime, and your child's not being difficult. What you're seeing, that exhausted but wired pattern, is a nervous system that is stuck. And no sleep routine, no supplement, no blackout curtain can override a nervous system that's physiologically locked into fight or flight mode. And that's why we're making this video today. This video is for parents out there who are exhausted, not just from those sleepless nights, but from trying everything and still watching your child struggle to rest. So if you feel like you've done everything right and nothing seems to be working, then this one's for you. So that's what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be covering today what sleep actually does for your child's brain and body and why it's so much more than just rest. We're going to talk about the nervous system and how that in the nervous system, not bedtime habits, controls whether your child can sleep. We're going to talk about the perfect storm, which disrupts sleep from the very beginning of a child's life, and what neurologically focused chiropractic care does differently and why it works when everything else hasn't. Now, I wanted to start with a statistic that usually stops most parents cold. Approximately 35% of children in the United States aren't getting enough sleep. I mean, that is more than 1 in 3 kids that start their day, waking up in the morning or walking into school running completely on empty. And we hear the same thing over and over again from families here at 3T, that they've tried it all: the routines, the supplements, the schedules, and their child is still exhausted, still wired, still not sleeping, still being disruptive. So, what nobody is telling parents is that the problem isn't at bedtime. It's not sleep schedules, it's not sleep training. Like I said before, the problem starts in the nervous system, and it often starts long before bedtime routines were ever even a factor. So, what does sleep actually even do for our kids? Most parents think of sleep as rest, which is rightfully so. Sleep is one of the most active, productive periods of the child's entire day. It's so much more than rest. So here's what happens when your child sleeps. The brain sorts and consolidates learning. It strengthens those neural connections and files everything away from the day. Growth hormone actually spikes during deep sleep. Your child is literally growing while they rest. The immune system produces infection-fighting cells during deep sleep, which is why we see all the time that sleep-deprived kids get sick constantly, especially when they're stressed at school. The brain processes emotions during REM cycles, meaning the meltdowns and the emotional dysregulation are often just nervous systems running completely on empty. And obviously, the apparent stuff is the body repairs tissue. It regulates hormones, and it restores energy reserves for the upcoming day. And that brings us to the nervous system, which controls the sleep, not just the habits. The nervous system has a gas pedal, that sympathetic fight or flight, that stress mode, and then a brake pedal, the parasympathetic, the rest, digest, and restore for rest and recovery. Now, sleep only happens when that brake pedal wins. When the vagus nerve is working properly, the body can shift from on to off at bedtime. But when there's interference in that system, which is what we call subluxation, the brain and the body can't communicate or signal clearly. The brake pedal gets overridden by the gas pedal, and we see it time and time again where kids get stuck in that wired mode even though they're completely exhausted. It's like trying to fall asleep after 3 energy drinks. The body's done, but the system will not allow that rest to happen. And this is a nervous system regulation issue, not a routine issue, not a supplementation problem, not a sleep process issue. So that's why we talk about the perfect storm in our office and how it disrupts sleep from day one. A child's pattern of stressors that compound over time is what we call the perfect storm. It can start as early as in the prenatal period with cortisol release during pregnancy that crosses the placenta and alters the baby's developing stress response system. We also see a high volume of birth interventions like inductions and forceps and vacuum extraction, C-sections, manual pulling, all these types of traumatic births that can create subluxation right where the vagus nerve exits the skull. And this affects breech babies too. Early childhood stressors also complicate things with antibiotic use that disrupts gut health, causes chronic reflux, constipation, and frequent illness, all signaling vagus nerve problems, and it adds to the burden on an already challenged system. And that's when we talk about dysautonomia, which is basically dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system. And that often shows up first as sleep problems. When we get a dysregulated nervous system, sleep is usually one of the first signs, long before it progresses to something else. So when that sleep is chronically disrupted, the effects reach into every part of your child's development. And that's why we've seen it in research that shows that children with insufficient sleep patterns can present with signs that look identical to ADHD, whether it be hyperactivity, impulsivity, poor attention. Those are what exhaustion looks like in kids, not that calm and sleepiness. And the immune system can't rebuild during poor sleep. Kids stay stuck in a cycle. We first see illness, and then we naturally go to the doctor. Here's some antibiotics. Those antibiotics tend to take the illness away, but then it disrupts the gut, which that brain-gut connection causes worse vagal nerve function, which creates less sleep, which now makes them more apt to get more sick again. And that cycle continues and continues. We also see memory consolidation breaking down. Like I said, a lot of our day's processing happens at night. Makes it harder to learn at school and makes school feel impossible. Our emotional regulation falls apart. Those explosive meltdowns aren't just attitude, they're a depleted and exhausted nervous system. Chronic sleep deprivation is strongly linked to depression because the nervous system doesn't have the resources to handle normal emotional challenges and stressors that we deal with on a daily basis, and it continues to wear us and our kids down all the time. And that's how neurologically focused chiropractic care restores sleep at its source. Neurologically focused chiropractic care uses precise, gentle adjustments to remove subluxation, which helps the nervous system adapt. When subluxation completely gets out of the way, the nervous system can finally shift between sympathetic and parasympathetic modes the way it was designed to. The vagus nerve can activate properly, it can initiate, and it can maintain real sleep cycles. And that's why we use insight scanning technology so that we can measure exactly where the interference is happening, how severe the dysregulation is, and which systems are affected, so that we're never guessing, we can pinpoint it, and we can be specific with our treatment. Now, parents often tell us that, sleep improvements come first. Just like we see it get dysregulated first, that's usually the first thing to improve, followed quickly by better digestion, fewer illness, improved behavior, and more emotional resilience, because now that nervous system has the adaptability, it has the energy, and it has the efficiency to do its job like it was designed to. Sleep is the foundation. When your child can access deep, restorative sleep, the memory consolidation, the growth hormone, the immune strengthening, the emotional processing, everything else follows. Remember, your child's struggle isn't to sleep, it's not behavioral. It's not something that they just grow out of. It's a nervous system that's stuck, and that there is a path forward. If you're ready to get to the real root of your child's sleep challenges, reach out to us here at 3T Family Chiropractic in Olathe, Kansas. You can click the link in our bio, learn more information. You can send us a direct message with more questions, or feel free to go to our website and schedule directly on our schedule. Let's get your whole family sleeping.